A man falls on a quiet sidewalk. His phone slides out of his hand. His bag opens beside him. 3 people nearby turn and look. For a second, everyone sees it, but nobody moves. Not because they are evil, not because they do not care, not because they want him to stay there. Something stranger is happening. Each person is waiting for another person to react first. One looks at the woman beside him. She looks at the man across from her. He looks back at them. And in that small circle, the emergency starts to feel less personal. Someone should help. But no one feels like that someone is them. This is the part nobody likes admitting. A group does not always make help more likely. Sometimes, a group makes responsibility disappear. Psychologists call this the bystander effect. And once you understand it, you start seeing it everywhere. In classrooms, in train stations, at family tables, online. Moments where everyone sees the problem, and everyone waits for someone else to become the person who acts. But the bystander effect did not begin as a theory. It began as a question. Why would ordinary people stand still when another person clearly needs help? Not monsters, not criminals, not people who plan to ignore pain. Just normal people. People with jobs, families, places to be. People who probably believed deep down that they would help if the moment ever came. Then the moment comes, and something inside the group changes. In the 1960s, 2 psychologists, John Darley and Latané, wanted to understand that change. So they built a small experiment. Not a street, not a crowd, just a room. A student sat alone, speaking through an intercom. He believed he was part of a discussion with other students. He could not see them. He could only hear them. Then one voice began to struggle. The voice said something was wrong. It sounded like the student needed help. The real question was not what happened to the voice. The real question was what the listener would do. When people believed they were the only person who heard it, most helped quickly. But when they believed other people were listening too, they waited. Longer, quieter, less certain. The emergency did not change. Only the number of witnesses changed. And that was enough. This is where the story gets uncomfortable. Because every extra person should have made help more likely. Another set of hands. Another brain. Another chance for someone to act. But the opposite happened. The more people they thought were present, the less each person felt personally responsible. Responsibility spread out. Not visibly, not loudly, not on purpose. It spread quietly inside the mind. One person thought, maybe someone else is already doing something. Another thought, maybe I am overreacting. Another thought, if nobody else is moving, maybe this is not serious. And in those few seconds, the crowd became a machine for doing nothing. This is called diffusion of responsibility. It sounds complicated. It is not. When you are alone, the question is simple. Will I help? But when you are in a group, the question changes. Will someone help? That one word changes everything. It is vague. It is faceless. It feels close enough to comfort you, but far enough to excuse you. Someone should check on him. Someone should call for help. Someone should step in. And because everyone is thinking about someone, nobody becomes that person. But here's the thing. The bystander effect is not only about responsibility. It is also about embarrassment. That sounds small. It is not. Imagine the man on the sidewalk again. He falls. He is still. 3 people look over. You want to move. But before you move, another thought appears. What if he is fine? What if he is just drunk? What if he gets angry? What if I make a scene? What if I look foolish in front of everyone? So you look at the others. They look calm, so you become calm too. Not because you know the truth, because their stillness teaches your body what to feel. Psychologists call this pluralistic ignorance, a strange name for something painfully familiar. Everyone is confused. Everyone is unsure. Everyone is looking for a sign. But because everyone is hiding their confusion, the room looks calm. And when the room looks calm, the emergency starts to look fake. People do not just watch the problem. They watch each other watching it. That is the trap. Darley and Latané tested this another way. They put people in a room with forms to fill out. Then smoke began slipping under a door. When a person was alone, they usually noticed the smoke and reported it. But when other people sat nearby acting calm, the person often stayed seated. The smoke was not invisible. It was right there. But the social message was stronger than the physical one. If nobody else is worried, maybe I should not be worried either. That is how a room can teach a person to ignore their own eyes. Not by force, by silence. And this is what makes the bystander effect different from simple selfishness. Selfishness says, I do not care. The bystander effect says, I am not sure this belongs to me. That small difference matters. Because it means the person who does nothing may still feel uneasy. Their body knows something is wrong. Their mind is just looking for permission. Often, it arrives much too late. A group does not only divide responsibility, it also creates permission. If someone moves, movement becomes allowed. If no one moves, stillness becomes the rule. This is why one person can change everything. One person kneels down. One person says, call for help. One person points and gives a job. You, call now. You, stay with him. You, find someone nearby. Suddenly, the group wakes up. Not because people became better, because the fog became specific. A crowd freezes when responsibility is blurry. It moves when responsibility gets a name. And this is why the bystander effect is so frightening. It does not require hatred. It does not require cruelty. It does not even require people to be careless. All it needs is uncertainty, other people, and a few seconds of silence. That is enough. In real life, those seconds matter. Not every emergency is dramatic. Sometimes it is a classmate being laughed at, a worker being treated badly, a family member getting quieter, a friend sending a message that sounds different. Nothing explodes. No alarm goes off. No voice announces, this is the moment. It just happens. Small, awkward, easy to explain away. And that is where the effect survives. Because the modern world has given us more witnesses than ever. A problem can be seen by hundreds of people now. A post, a video, a comment section, a group chat, a person being humiliated while everyone watches through a screen. But more eyes do not always mean more courage. Sometimes they mean more waiting. Everyone assumes someone else will report it. Someone else will message them. Someone else will say, stop. Someone else will do the uncomfortable thing. And because the responsibility feels shared, the guilt feels smaller, almost invisible. This is the part that hurts. The bystander effect does not make people stop knowing right from wrong. It makes action feel optional. It turns a clear problem into a social question. Should I do something? Or will doing something make me the weird one? So people wait for proof. They wait for someone else to care first. They wait for the crowd to give permission. And sometimes, by the time permission appears, the moment has already passed. But there is another side to this. The same mechanism that keeps people frozen can also be broken quickly. Not by becoming fearless. Not by becoming a hero. By becoming specific. If you need help, do not speak to the crowd. Speak to one person. You in the blue shirt. Call for help. You by the door. Stay here. You with the phone. Come closer. A direct request cuts through the fog. It turns someone into you. And if you are the witness, the same rule applies. Do not wait for the group to decide what kind of person you are. Move first. Even a small movement can change the room. Taking one step closer. Asking, are you okay? Calling for help. Saying out loud, something is wrong. Because once one person acts, everyone else gets a signal. The emergency is real. Helping is allowed. We are doing something now. That is the quiet power hidden inside this effect. The crowd can make responsibility disappear, but one person can make it return. And maybe that is the part worth remembering. The bystander effect is not proof that people are heartless. It is proof that people are social. We look to each other for signals. We borrow courage from the room. We wait for permission, even when someone needs us not to. That does not make us evil. It makes us human. But being human is not an excuse to stay still. It is a warning. Because somewhere, at some point, you will be one of the people standing nearby. Maybe not on a sidewalk, maybe in a classroom, maybe in a group chat, maybe at a table where everyone pretends not to hear what was just said. And for 1 second, everyone will see it. Everyone will know. Everyone will wait. That is the moment the effect begins. Not when someone falls. Not when the room goes silent. But when each person thinks the same thought, someone should do something. And the only way to break it is to understand the trick inside that sentence. Someone is not a person. Someone is a hiding place. The moment you see that, the crowd changes. The room changes. You change. Because sometimes the first person to move does not just help the person in front of them, they wake up everyone who was waiting. And sometimes that is all a crowd needs. One person to stop looking around and become the signal